Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Voyager class Rhinox from Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron Trilogy. So as per usual here with the packaging we have really cool artwork, robot mode, Rhino mode, and then a tiny window with the actual figure that you can see. Looks really cool though, I really like this artwork quite a bit. Over here we have the typical Kingdom mural or group shot, whatever you want to call that. Not too much going on the top or the bottom. And if we spin around to the back, just another shot of the robot mode and the Rhino mode. 35 steps of conversion. So let's go ahead, let's get him out of the box, and we'll take a closer look. So here he is out of the packaging, and I have to say, he looks pretty good. Love the color scheme. These pieces here on the thigh move around a little bit too much for my liking, but not a big deal. They even put some paint spots here to kind of give an illusion of texture to the Rhino skin, which I think is pretty cool. He's got a bit of a backpack. You have part of the Rhino's back just hanging here off the back of him, but I wish there was a way to tuck it underneath the Rhino head so that, it wasn't covering his butt there. Not much I can do. Now you do have an actual Rhino mouth here built into the head. This lower part of the jaw is just a chest plate, and it gives it a little bit more show accurate look, which I appreciate. It's really nicely painted as well. Silver for the teeth, gold in there. I've seen some people pop the jaw piece out because I'm pretty sure it is just kind of like a friction, peg between two pieces there, and then flip it around and pop it back in to give it a more show authentic look. So you have kind of the roof of his mouth there and then the bottom jaw here. But I'm not going to replicate that here. I don't want to break anything. But you can do it. I have seen people online do it. Head sculpt looks really good. Nicely painted. Love the red eyes. I think that looks good. You have a little bit of side-to-side tilt with the ball joint. Front to back. Certainly looks side-to-side. No problem there. You have this joint in the shoulder, which is really for the transformation. But if you want to use it, you certainly can. He's got a hinge as well as a rotation. So nice shoulder articulation. You have a 90-degree bend and a rotation here in the bicep/elbow. You do not have any wrist movement, and that's because of the way that it folds into the forearms. We'll see that a little bit later. You do have waist spin here. You just kind of have to navigate around this piece hanging back. You can kick pretty far forward, pretty far back, kick out to the side. You do have a thigh swivel, again, right above the knee, just like with the elbows. You do have a knee there. The legs are a little weird because there's so much kind of hidden inside here, but it works. It could be better, but it works. I think it stays together pretty well. And then you do have ankle tilt. Don't really have any front to back movement, but you do have ankle tilt. Now, one problem is he doesn't really have the best heels. I wish these were a little bit longer. He doesn't fall over, but because he's a little bit back heavier, however you want to say that, I'm sure one of those is an actual word. He tends to want to kind of drift backwards. So it's just about finding the right distribution of weight. And in that way, you can get him to stand pretty well. And he looks good. He has two accessories. He has these little chain guns. I wish they were a little bit more substantial. The back of them is a little lackluster for me. Now, it's really mostly so that you can store them in the Rhino mode, and we'll get to that later. That's why they're so small. But he can just go ahead and peg these into his hands. And he does have the guns facing forward, just like on the show. The original toy had like a box with a gear that was on top, and it spun around, but you couldn't face it forward to look like guns like you did in the show. So at least these are facing forward. There we go, got him pegged in. So he's got his two guns there, which is really cool. And I'm glad he comes with two because he did have two on the show. So I like that. But yeah, overall, I think he looks pretty good. Not a ton of kibble, really just kind of this piece on the back I wish you could fold up, but you'll see why that's not really possible. You can just kind of push it towards the body. But yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with the robot mode. So the transformation is a little complicated, mostly because he's kind of a shell former, especially when it comes to the back half of the Rhino. But we'll go ahead and start this off. So you want to straighten the arms out so that way you have clearance to open up the forearms here. And then you just rotate the fists inside and then close this back up. And then you're going to rotate at the bicep swivel there to line up the front of the Rhino toes. So we'll do that again over here. Flip this up, rotate this in, close that up, and then do that. You're going to kind of rotate this section up a little bit. You can see it's just kind of like a large hinge, and that's what's in the way of flipping that up. I don't even think this has enough clearance to flip all the way around, but again, I wish it would. So you're going to spin the head around 180 degrees to hide it there. You're going to fold this down a little bit, and then you can actually fold this in half. And you have to make sure that you have this lined up so you can get enough clearance. Fold that in half, and then that's just going to hide away in the body. So, pretty cool there. Now you want to make sure this is out of the way. Lift it up a little bit. This section right here is going to fold up as you kind of fold the arms down to kind of shrink them closer to the body. These pieces here on the side, you're going to have to kind of push all the way down so you have enough clearance. And then you want to fold this up like that, so that folds up underneath the rhino head. And sometimes it's a little difficult, and I might not have it pushed up all the way like I should, but you can get things to push in. There you go. Sometimes just a little bit of clearance issues. So then you want to kind of bring this down over the robot head like so. And then you can see we pretty much have the whole front section of the rhino done, but that was the easy part. So now we're going to come here and flip these sections out. These sections here will flip forward like so. Then you're going to kind of move these up. And you have these panels up here that are always kind of getting in my way. You want to make sure that this is kind of lined up as well. So these will flip out. The rhino legs will flip out, spin around, and then flip out so that they can come all the way down. And you need to spin these. I forget how we spin these like this. No, that's not right. These are supposed to flip out. Oh, I know, I forgot. I forgot a crucial step. You have to bend this at the knee, and not at the actual knee, at this section here. That way you have the clearance, and you spread these out a little bit. I knew I was forgetting a step. Then you can flip these around. That gives you the ability to get these out of the way. Then you can flip out the rhino leg and spin it around so that that can come all the way out. There we go. That was crucial. You have to bend them at the knees so you have clearance for everything. All right, so now we're going to come down here. We're going to flip these out, spin these around, and you can see that there's a little tab. And there is a little tab spot in here. So you're going to bring this in and then just kind of line that up until it tabs in. So again, use that ankle tilt, spin that around, clip that into place, and there you have that. Now at this point, you want to kind of lift this up as much as you can because you're going to need the clearance. You're going to make sure those panels on the side are down as far as they can go this way. This is going to come around and go underneath, and then this is going to peg in here with these panels that don't really want to cooperate with me right now. All right, let's pull this back. There we go. You got to make sure those are out of the way. They just flop around and they get in my way a lot, and it's kind of annoying. But there you go. Now you can see how that pegs in, and you want to make sure that that stays where that needs to be. So you want to bring this in, make sure this panel's out of the way. Bring this in, peg that there. Okay, so now we have that pretty much situated, and we'll shore it up a little bit in a moment. But now we have to kind of flip this around and bring that there like that. So this will flip around. And again, there's a little bit of clearance issues, but you can straighten things out and make it past. And there you go. So now we have most of this pretty much figured out here. You can see it's a very large cavern inside here. This section is going to flip. This little panel will flip up here like this. And then you can see that there's a little tab spot right there that it tabs into. There you go. So you kind of have the tiny rhino tail and then just kind of filling some gaps here. So this was in like this. This flips out. This flips around and then pegs in. But before you go ahead and push these all together, you want to go ahead and bring in the two guns and make sure that they are, both the handles are pointing down. They're going to peg into each other like so. Then you have to kind of sandwich these in. You can see the little peg holes right there, and that's for these right here. So you have to kind of drop this in and pop this like so. That pegs in there. And then all this stuff will kind of line up and peg together. Make sure that's pegged into each other. There we go. So you can see you have storage for the weapons underneath. And then just make sure that's all good to go. And then these will close up. I'm sorry, this has to come back down a little bit. All right, I think I'm doing something wrong because this won't come back. There we go. And then this is supposed to close up here. Oh, yeah, that's right. This is right. All right, well, this is supposed to close up. I obviously have something misaligned. Let me play with it a little bit, and I'll figure it out. Okay, I just had the feet or something in the back area a little misaligned. The last step here is to bring this piece down, and this will kind of rotate down and fill in this last little bit of space. And sometimes it's a little difficult to get this pegged in correctly, and the panels don't necessarily all want to hang out together correctly, but you can make it work. So we'll pop this down, and then that fills in that space, and then we can bring the legs straight down, and there we go. This leg keeps always wanting to buckle. There is our Rhino boy. Was a bit of an effort, I will be honest. Sometimes getting everything to line up back here can be a little frustrating, but when you're done, it looks pretty good. You have the weapon storage underneath. Not a ton of the robot mode is showing, which is nice. It's really just getting all these panels to clear each other and snap into place and everything. The funny part is that you can kind of open this up still, and there's like a decent amount of space. You could probably have like a Titan Master or something right in here if you really wanted to, because there's still a decent amount of space in there. But everything closes up and it pegs together well. You can go ahead and open up this Rhino mouth. That has a decent range. And I feel like this head is still not 100% snapped in, but I can't get it to do anything else. I've been trying to mess with it. So maybe it's just to give him a little bit of head articulation. I'm not really sure. But overall, the Rhino mode is pretty successful. I think it looks good. Obviously, there's not really a ton of articulation in this mode. You can kind of move this ball joint for the legs a little bit. You can still move these forward and back a little bit. And you can, of course, do the joint out to the side, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. But you can at least kind of hinge this, and you can spin that if you want. And then, of course, the mouth opens and closes. But the Rhino head looks pretty good. I like the red eyes. Try to get this mouth to open again. There we go. So yeah, pretty successful Rhino mode. So I think Rhinox is pretty good. He's not perfect, but I like him a lot. I think the robot mode really works. I like the larger jaw chest plate here. Head sculpt looks good. Articulation's great. Color scheme's good. I like that they kind of added the flecks of paint here to the Rhino skin to kind of give it that illusion of texture. I think it works. He's got a little bit of a backpack. I wish you could tuck this piece up underneath the head. That would have been nice. And although, you know, the shin areas here are kind of very compact, I think it works. There are some gaps and whatnot, but for the most part, it holds together pretty well. And for all the stuff that like it pops open and folds out into, they did a pretty good job of keeping it pretty compact and looking mostly like a normal leg. So I think they did a pretty good job there. Color scheme's great. Articulation's good. The gun accessories are okay. Like I said, I wish they were a little bit more substantial. The back part behind the spinning blade feels very tiny and small, but again, I believe that's because they had to make it work to store it in the Rhino mode, and I appreciate that there is storage for the weapons. So, you know, the Rhino mode looks good, the robot mode looks good. It's just getting from one to the other that's a little problematic. It's just not super intuitive. I've transformed this guy a couple times, and I still get a little confused when it comes to forming the back Rhino legs, because there's so many pieces that have to clear and flip around and spin and make sure that all the panels line up. And it's just, you know, a little frustrating at times, but I think as long as you do it a couple times and a little bit of practice, it should be fairly good. So, really like the robot mode. If you're just looking to grab this guy and pop him on your shelf to display in robot mode, I don't think you'll be disappointed there. Transform him a couple times, just going to take a little bit of practice, but you're left with a pretty cool Rhino mode. I think they did a nice job with that. So I recommend him. Just know that he has the possibility to be a little frustrating during the transformation. So if you know that going in, take your time so you don't snap anything off. I think you'll be okay. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.